Patanjali does not explain the word chitta here in Yoga Sutras because you are supposed to know that beforehand from Sankhya philosophy. Yoga is based on Sankhya philosophy. So in Sankhya and Yoga philosophies, chitta refers to, it has a particular meaning. In any system of philosophy, when they use a particular word, it will mean a particular thing. It is not a universal meaning. Okay. Chitta, the word chitta will be used in one way in Sankhya and Yoga. The word chitta will be used in a different way in Vedanta. You don't have to mix them. You don't have to get confused. They are just words. Don't give more importance to words. Even now in modern philosophy, that is how it works. If they use the word consciousness, they will define how they are using it. It is not a vague meaning. In any article, if you take up any article on, modern article, written on consciousness, a proper article, not some magazine article, a proper philosophical article, if you see, they will explain in what context I am using the word consciousness. The word consciousness doesn't have its own independent meaning. It's not that consciousness is sitting somewhere and telling this is my meaning. We made up the words. And because they are fundamental concepts, many people use it in different ways. Some people use it in one shade, another in another shade. So that's how philosophies work. Just like that, in Sankhya and Yoga, when they use the word chitta, they use it in a particular way. When we speak about Sankhya and Yoga, this is what chitta means. This is from Sankhya philosophy. So chitta means these three facets come considered together. Actually, the word mahat means something, technically it means something different. First, for the sake of simplicity, we make it Buddhi, intelligence. And when they say evolution, when they speak of evolution in terms of Sankhya philosophy, you know the 24 principles of Sankhya, according to Sankhya? Yes. 24 principles of Prakriti plus 25th principle is Purusha, consciousness. Now in those 24 principles, the 24th is called Avyakta Prakriti. So Avyakta Prakriti means unmanifest. It has not yet manifested. It is in its seed form. This is asserted by Krishna also in several places in the Gita. He says Avyakta Prakriti, Vyakta Prakriti. He goes by those terminology also in Bhagavad Gita when it comes it comes in 7, 8, 9 chapters. So 24th principle is Avyakta Prakriti. If I have to give an example, a simpler example, on this screen, there is a white background and there is some black color letters. If I convert all those black, whatever, all this table color, blue color, light blue, black, whatever colors are there, if I go into the PPT file and if I turn all of them into white color, you will not see anything there. It is there, but you can't see it. It is not manifest. It's a very simpler example. You cannot take it very seriously, but just to make you understand the concept of Avyakta Prakriti, it is there, but it is not Vyakta. It is not showing itself. So from Avyakta Prakriti, when manifestation happens, they say Mahat. Mahat means the great principle, or in simple terms it is Buddhi. They say Mahat is the first evolute which comes out of Avyakta Prakriti. It is the first manifestation, first Vyakta that comes out of Avyakta Prakriti. Why it is the first evolute, you can see why it is so. What is the nature of intellect? What do you associate intellect with? What power do you associate intellect with? Discrimination means what? Seeing differences. If everything is homogeneous, it is as good as non-existent, just like I gave you the example of the screen. So if the whole existence, if I have to talk in terms of physics, if energy, all this is energy in different forms. in the form of matter, in the form of light, in the form of whatever. All this is energy playing different roles. But if energy is homogeneously distributed across the universe is as good as non-existent. I just extend the screen example to the universe. There is no clusters of energy anywhere. Everything is homogeneously distributed. There is no difference from one point to another. It is as good as non-existent. In this screen, if there is no difference of colors, it is as good as non-existent. It is homogeneous. There is nothing to see. So avyakta prakriti, you can think of it as this homogeneous existence. It is as good as not there. So what would be the first thing that would happen in a homogeneous existence? There will be differences. If you talk in terms of universe, there will be clusters of energy in one place, and therefore you start seeing, okay, there is one planet here, there is emptiness here. If everything was equally empty, the concept of emptiness also doesn't exist, the concept of matter also doesn't exist. Only because there is difference, you see differences, dualities come. Only because on this screen I have made this font as black, you are seeing the font. Because the screen is white and the font is black, you are able to see something. If everything is black, you can't see anything. If everything is white, you can't see anything. Did you follow? If everything is homogeneous, it is as good as non-existent. There is nothing there. So the very first evolute from avyakta prakriti is intelligence, discrimination. What is meant is, the first thing that happened is acknowledgement of differences. You need not consider it as really differences arose, but differences were acknowledged. Like how I was telling, in the sky, you can imagine differences. You can imagine there is a square, there is a circle, whatever you want. So imagination of differences, the moment you see contrast from one point to another, you have given rise to something. Until that point there was nothing. So that is why Mahat or Buddhi is talked of as the first evolute out of avyakta prakriti. Out of nothingness or homogeneity, differences were acknowledged. And therefore you start seeing things. If you notice, all our sensory perceptions, this is how intellect functions also. You perceive one thing necessarily in relation to another. You may not acknowledge it so easily, but if you contemplate over it, you will realize you can acknowledge light only because you have seen darkness. You can acknowledge darkness only because you have seen light. That is how our neurons also function. In neuroscience they speak of it. You acknowledge one color with respect to other colors only. You don't acknowledge something absolutely as it is. The mind always processes that in relation to something else. It is inbuilt. That is how mind functions. That is how intellect functions. It always perceives one thing in relation to another thing. Our sensory perceptions are also always like that. It is always in relation that we experience things. If you touch this, I will tell it is cold. This is cold because my body temperature is high compared to the temperature of the table. If my body temperature was lower than the table's temperature, when I touch this, I will tell it is hot. Which is true then? It is hot or cold? It is a relative perception. Relative to the temperature of my hand, this temperature is more, so it is hot. If it is less, it is cold. Nothing is perceived absolutely as it is. Even in the case of sensory perceptions, normal perceptions. And internally, our brain also functions like that only. In neuroscience, there are many theories in which they talk about this. That you necessarily, when you perceive something, you are perceiving that in relation to what it is not. It's always like that. If you are perceiving brown, you are perceiving brown in relation to what color it is not. You are perceiving it, you are experiencing brown in relation to what color it is not. It is not black, it is not green, it is not blue. The brain is functioning brown like that. It is always relative. So, the very first evolute is intellect or buddhi. And once, that is also not a problem. Even if you have imagined differences in the sky, even that is not a problem. The problem comes in the next step. Once in that uniform existence, once in that unity, in that unified existence, you have imagined differences. Imagining differences is still fine, but after imagining the differences, there will be bias. This portion is me, that portion is not me. Like how it happens in your dreams. The whole dream is made up of you only. There is nobody else in your dream apart from you. But you will imagine only one part of your dream is me, all the other part of the dream is not me. And therefore you suffer your dreams. Or you enjoy your dreams, whatever. Dualities will come only because you make this partition. If you had simply imagined differences, but if you knew fundamentally that everything is one only, you will enjoy the dream. It won't bother you. You will see everything is made up of the same stuff. This body is also made of the same dream stuff. That body also is same dream stuff, and everything is me. If another person is talking to me in the dream, that is also me. If you are aware of this, the differences in the dream will not disturb you. It will just be a play for the sake of fun. But the moment you start taking those differences as real, you will consider one part of the difference as me, another part as not me. Forgetting that only if both the differences exist, there is meaning to it. Black has meaning in relation to white. White has meaning in relation to black. You cannot separate black and say black is an independent entity. It is not. So, black and white is a very, very simple example I am giving you. But what has happened to us is verily that universe is one entity. It is one existence. There are no waste parts in the existence, nor are there any significant parts. It is one entity in which all the parts are complementing each other. It is just one entity. But if you start giving more significance to one part and less significance to the other parts, then that is the rise of ahankara. Meaning I am something, I am one part of those differences. The other part of the differences is somebody else. It is unreal and it is illogical. Because one cannot exist without the other. Black cannot exist without the white. And if you separate out black and if you say, I am black, but that white is different, somebody else. And if you start considering that difference as real, white is a different entity, black is a different entity, it is a delusion. They are not different entities, they are complementary entities. They together make up one. So just like that, in a very big way, the complementarity of existence we forget and we start giving more significance to one part of existence, and that becomes me. So after ahankara comes, ahankara means one part is me, the rest is not me. And then the game will start. So I am perceiving the rest of the existence. All that perception will be called as mind, manas. So you perceive all the other people using my mind. And then you build all the drama, psychological drama. So when Patanjali speaks about kleshas, he is trying to address this ahankara itself. He uses a slightly different word. He uses the word asmita in Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Asmita, in Sanskrit, what is asmi? Aham asmi. I am there, I am here, I am. In English, if you separate that am, only that am, that is asmi. So, I amness is asmi, I amness.